My biggest fear is losing a member of my family, because we are such a unit and so close that we're nothing without the other.
Every single day he does this little song and this little dance about how excited he is, and
isn't it scary? Like, I always look at my parents as being so invincible. The time frame of where you're supposed to be doing something, like you can't say.
People take me or leave me. I mean, I'm just Ozzy Osbourne, and I always...
Like, we didn't even know if we were gonna get to Ohio for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
He is so excited that it's a boy.
But your support over the years has made it all possible for us to live a lifestyle we live.
Wrestling promos are meant to stir emotions, push boundaries, and sometimes even cross the line. But what unfolded in Birmingham this week left fans wondering if WWE had gone way too far. On a night that was supposed to be filled with scripted drama and crowd-pleasing energy, Becky Lynch took the microphone and delivered words that cut much deeper than anyone expected. This wasn't just a typical heel moment designed to rile up the audience. Instead, it invoked the grief of an entire community and the memory of one of music's most legendary icons. Because Birmingham isn't just another stop on WWE's tour, it's the birthplace of Ozzy Osbourne, the godfather of heavy metal, whose influence stretches far beyond music. For fans in the arena, emotions were still raw following his recent passing. And then came Becky's line, one that not only shocked the crowd into silence but triggered an immediate backlash outside the ring. But the most explosive response didn't come from the fans, it came from Ozzy's daughter, Kelly Osbourne, who didn't hold back. Within hours, she slammed Becky Lynch publicly, calling her out in words as fiery as the promo itself. Suddenly, what started as scripted entertainment spiraled into a real-life feud, one that WWE may not have seen coming. It all unfolded during Monday Night Raw in Birmingham, the very city where Ozzy Osbourne's career began and where his name still carries a legendary weight. Becky Lynch walked out with the crowd already on edge, ready for her usual sharp tongue. But instead of just mocking her opponent or the city's sports teams, she went for something far more personal. With a smirk, Becky told the Birmingham crowd that the only good thing to ever come out of their city died a month ago. The arena froze. Fans knew exactly who she was talking about: Ozzy Osbourne, the local hero and global icon who had only recently passed away. The gasp was immediate, the tension electric. And just when it seemed like the moment couldn't get any harsher, Becky twisted the knife. She added that Ozzy had the good sense to move to Los Angeles, and then coldly remarked that if she had grown up in Birmingham, she'd probably be dead too. It wasn't just a heel insult, it felt like an attack on a grieving hometown and the memory of a man who meant everything to them. The reaction was instant and visceral. Becky Lynch has built her entire reputation on sharp comebacks, ruthless putdowns, and a fearless attitude that makes her one of WWE's most compelling talkers. Fans expect her to talk trash sometimes, even cross a line, but this was different. The words she chose that night weren't just a jab at Birmingham. They struck directly at the heart of people still grieving a music legend. The only good thing that came out of this city died a month ago. That one line was enough to make the crowd gasp, but Becky didn't stop there. She doubled down, reminding everyone that Ozzy had left Birmingham behind and settled in Los Angeles, as if to suggest the city itself wasn't worth staying in. And then came the final blow: if I had grown up here, I'd probably be dead too. The delivery was ice cold, said with the smugness of a villain fully in control of the room. But the reaction didn't match what WWE probably expected. Instead of the usual mix of boos and cheers, there was a heavy silence followed by a wave of disgusted shouts. Fans weren't just booing the character. They were reacting as people who felt something sacred had just been trampled on. Because this wasn't just about getting heat. Ozzy Osbourne wasn't some distant name in the headlines. He was a cultural icon, a man who defined an entire genre of music. And to Birmingham, he was family. His death was still painfully fresh, and for many in that arena, Becky's words felt less like scripted entertainment and more like a cruel reminder of loss. And that's the dangerous tightrope wrestling often walks. When you blur the line between storyline and reality, you risk turning entertainment into outrage. For Becky Lynch, those words might have been just another promo. But for Kelly Osbourne and for thousands of fans, they felt personal. The fallout inside the arena was immediate. At first, there was a stunned silence, the kind of pause where everyone's trying to process what they just heard. Then the boos started louder and harsher than anything Becky had gotten all night. It wasn't the fun, playful reaction WWE usually wants for its villains. This was genuine anger. Fans weren't just reacting to a character, they were reacting as people who felt blindsided. Social media lit up almost instantly. Clips of the promo spread within minutes, and the responses weren't pretty. Some fans defended Becky, saying she was just doing her job as a heel, but the majority were furious, calling it tasteless, disrespectful, and even cruel. On wrestling forums and Twitter threads, the same question kept coming up: was this really necessary? And that's what made the moment so explosive. WWE thrives on shock value, but this wasn't the kind of shock that sells t-shirts or gets fans buzzing in excitement. This was a controversy that felt personal, especially in Birmingham, where Ozzy wasn't just a star but a symbol of pride. The line between storyline and reality had been crossed, and the anger wasn't fading, it was growing. But if the live crowd and online backlash were intense, they were nothing compared to what came next. Because when Kelly Osbourne saw the clip, she didn't stay quiet. She fired back in a way that made the entire situation even bigger. Kelly Osbourne didn't waste any time letting the world know exactly how she felt. Within hours of the promo airing, she took to Instagram and her words were as sharp as a blade. She called Becky Lynch a disrespectful dirtbag, a phrase that instantly went viral. But Kelly didn't stop there. She doubled down, unleashing a wave of anger that showed just how protective she was of both her father's legacy and her hometown. In one post, she blasted Becky for using Ozzy's death as a cheap storyline punchline, saying that Birmingham wouldn't even piss on you if you were on fire. That line alone spread like wildfire across social media, quoted and reposted by wrestling fans, music fans, and even people who had never watched WWE a day in their life. It wasn't just a clapback, it was a public shaming, and it carried the raw emotion of a daughter still grieving. Her anger wasn't just about one promo, it was about respect. To Kelly, Ozzy wasn't just a rock legend. He was her father, a man she had loved, defended, and celebrated her entire life. For someone to use his name, only weeks after his passing, as nothing more than a cheap insult, it felt like crossing a line that could never be uncrossed. And it wasn't only Becky in her crosshairs. Kelly's fury also extended to WWE itself, questioning how the company could allow such a line to be scripted, approved, and delivered on live television. In her eyes, they weren't just exploiting her father's name, they were exploiting grief for entertainment. The post instantly became a trending topic, forcing WWE into the spotlight in a way they didn't expect. And while Kelly's words were filled with rage, for many fans, they rang true. She had said what they were already feeling, only louder, harsher, and without an ounce of hesitation. Kelly Osbourne's response was just the spark, the real firestorm came afterward. Almost overnight, the story exploded beyond wrestling circles. Music fans, entertainment outlets, and even casual viewers who never tuned in to WWE were weighing in. What started as a promo in Birmingham turned into a full-blown debate about respect, grief, and how far entertainment should be allowed to go. On one side, some defended Becky Lynch, arguing that she was just doing her job as a heel. They pointed out that wrestling has always blurred the line between reality and fiction, and that pushing boundaries is part of what keeps the industry alive. But that defense didn't hold much weight with everyone else. For the majority, this wasn't just edgy trash talk, it was tasteless. It was using a fresh wound to score cheap boos, and it felt like WWE had miscalculated badly. The backlash hit hard. Fans flooded WWE's official social media pages with angry comments, demanding an apology and questioning who approved the promo in the first place. Some accused the company of exploiting a tragedy for shock value. Others went further, calling it disgusting and a new low for WWE. The arena heat Becky got that night was nothing compared to the digital storm that followed. And while Becky's role as a heel gave her some cover, WWE itself wasn't so lucky. The company found itself painted as insensitive and out of touch, with critics arguing that the promo had crossed a moral line. Even industry insiders chimed in, saying that while controversy sells, there are limits, and this time, WWE had gone too far. But the real weight of the backlash came from the Osbourne family's involvement. Kelly's fury wasn't just another social media rant. It carried legitimacy, and once her words were out there, they couldn't be ignored. Suddenly, WWE wasn't just facing angry fans, they were facing the wrath of a grieving family with global recognition. And that left everyone asking the same question: was this just a promo gone wrong? Or had WWE opened a wound that could damage its reputation far beyond the ring? What started as a single promo quickly spiraled into something WWE couldn't control. Becky Lynch may have been playing a character, But for Kelly Osbourne and thousands of fans, the words cut far too deep. It became less about wrestling, and more about respect, grief, and the fine line between entertainment and exploitation. At the end of the day, this wasn't just about Becky or WWE, it was about legacy. Ozzy Osbourne wasn't just a rock star. He was a cultural giant. And to his family and hometown, he was untouchable. Crossing that line for a few boos came at a cost, and the backlash proved it. Because in wrestling, storylines come and go. But the pain of a family and the memory of a legend will always last longer than a promo.